There's a lot of social pressure to be lean when that's not always in the athlete's best interest for their performance. So it's really important not only to make sure that our young athletes are healthy so that they can develop peak bone mass and good muscle mass to prevent age-related changes such as osteopenia and osteoporosis, but also because there's a lot of benefits to exercise in general. It's beneficial for the cardiovascular system, for the brain, for mental disorders or just general mental health like anxiety and depression. It's beneficial for the musculoskeletal system, but it really carries over into all aspects of life and health. The recommendations are for any individual to get at least 150 minutes of exercise each week. That's actually not a lot when you look at in the general scheme of things, but I encourage individuals to move every single day. So relative energy deficiency in sport was formerly known as the female athlete triad. That term has recently changed to acknowledge the fact that men can be affected by what we think of as the triad as well. And the triad includes 3 areas of health, including energy deficiency or disordered eating. The second is bone health, and the third is the menstrual cycle or the hormonal aspect if we're thinking about both males and females. I really like the term relative energy deficiency in sport because I think it really describes well how this comes about. When you are being active, you are putting out energy, and it's really important to have adequate intake of energy through proper diet, including both nutritious foods as well as proper amounts of food to support a healthy and active lifestyle. When the caloric output or energy output exceeds the energy input, things start to go awry. And we start to see in women a loss of the menstrual cycle, or for young women, they may never establish a normal menstrual cycle. And that can interfere with their estrogen production. And when that happens, bone health is not maintained because estrogen is very important in maintaining bone density. That makes them more susceptible to injuries like stress fractures, particularly in impact athletes like runners. And it tends to tie back to what we generally refer to as disordered eating. But I think it's important to note that there doesn't have to be a specific eating disorder like anorexia or bulimia or someone who's trying to follow a fad diet to maintain leanness. It's really something that maybe someone who thinks that they're doing everything right, they're simply not taking in the amounts or quantities necessary to support the energy they're putting out through their sport or their physical endeavors. I think one of the important things is eating a good nutritious diet. And as for what that means for any individual may differ. There is no one size fits all diet out there. There's no one perfect diet for everybody. Also eating quantities sufficient, and it may be helpful for some individuals to track things like weight or body measurements, or even to, in some instances, track their caloric intake, and not as a means of restricting their intake, but a means of making sure that they're getting enough of what they need to. And certainly, it's helpful when parents and coaches and friends pay attention to how individuals are eating, and if they notice anything suspicious, it's always wise to speak up and make sure that that person gets the help they need if that's necessary. I like to keep people as active as I possibly can. And so, for example, if they have a stress fracture, I like to find other ways for them to get some physical activity, but a lot of it is truly about education. And so we bring in a lot of help when we're working with these individuals. And that help may come from dietitians, physical therapists. It may come through meeting with an endocrinologist in certain cases, and really trying to make sure that we have everything functioning optimally for this person to not only help them recover in the short term, but also to maintain their health for the long term. And that's specifically crucial in our younger athletes who are still building that peak bone mass. If an adolescent develops this red S and their bone density is affected, then that's something that it's really important to remedy quickly so that they can reach that peak bone mass to prevent things like osteopenia and osteoporosis later in life. We all need to be physically active for our general health as well as for our musculoskeletal health. And it's important to me to keep women active because the best way to prevent health problems and disease is to be physically active and eat a nutritious diet.